We got Carlee Russell's new Tinder photo right here. Let's get salty.
On this lonely road, trying to make it home, doing it by my lonesome, pissed off.
Welcome back to our first evening episode. Got to talk about Carlee Russell. She was arrested today. They issued an arrest warrant. Her attorney orchestrated plans for her to turn herself in. So just after Carlee turned herself in and bailed out, they held a press conference to tell us what was going on, and I'm going to show that to you right here.
Good afternoon. Earlier today, Hoover Police detectives obtained warrants for the arrest of Carlee Russell through the Hoover Municipal Court for her actions related to faking her kidnapping and subsequently making false statements to detectives as they investigated this case. Her decisions that night created panic and alarm for the citizens of our city and even across the nation as the concern grew that a kidnapper was on the loose using a small child as bait. Numerous law enforcement agencies, both local and federal, began working tirelessly not only to bring Carlee home to her family, but locate a kidnapper that we know now never existed. Many private citizens volunteered their time and energy into looking for a potential kidnapping victim that we know now was never in any danger. This story opened wounds for families whose loved ones really were victims of kidnappings, some of which even helped organize searches in hopes they could find Carlee's alive so her family would not experience the pain and suffering that they felt when their loved ones never returned home. As we know, actions can have consequences, and that's why we're here today. This afternoon, Carlee Russell, with the assistance of her attorney, turned herself into the Hoover City Jail, where she was arrested for the following charges: false reporting to law enforcement authorities, Class A misdemeanor, $1,000 bond; falsely reporting an incident, a Class A misdemeanor with a $1,000 bond. Each of these charges carry up to a year in jail and potential fine of $6,000 upon conviction. Ms. Russell was released from jail after posting bond. We initially presented this case to District Attorney Lanice Washington, who agreed to handle prosecution through district court. After consulting with the Circuit Court of Jefferson County Bessemer Division, the case was referred back to municipal court for charging because the only applicable charges were misdemeanors. Judging from the amount of phone calls and emails that we've received from people all over the country, I know many are shocked and appalled that Ms. Russell is only being charged with 2 misdemeanors, despite all the panic and disruption her actions caused. Let me assure you, I too share the same frustration, but existing laws only allow the charges that were filed to be filed. I can tell you that I will be contacting our state legislatures on behalf of law enforcement in Montgomery and asking them to look at this law applied to these facts and urge them to add an enhancement to current legislation when somebody falsely reports kidnapping or another violent crime. Because of the attention this case has garnered, we've requested Attorney General Steve Marshall's office adopt this case, and they've agreed to do so. The Hoover Police Department wants to thank everyone that assisted us from the beginning and continues to assist us in this case as we work its way through the criminal justice system.
She did, and they took this glorious glamour photo for which she smiled. Gotta love it. I wonder if it was just instinct, see a camera, gotta smile at it, or if she was thinking, this photo's gonna be everywhere, I might as well look good. Or more likely she was embarrassed. That's that sort of impish embarrassment smile. I did it. That's what I see. You guys tell me what you see. When I was a little girl, I learned a story called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. And I went looking for that story, trying to find some version of it, and I combed through some, treasuries of classic children's tales. And what I found instead was not that story itself, but the same theme repeated again and again, that There are certain behaviors in a society, in a civilized society, where community members have reciprocal relationships with one another. There are these behaviors that are forbidden to fake. And one of those behaviors among people all over the world, and even animal species as well, is faking an emergency cry. So if you look at primates, when they make a specific sound, which is a sound they actually call the primal cadence of fear, it's a cadence at a certain pitch. It's hard to describe. It's what they try to reproduce in screamer horror movies when somebody screams at that really, really high pitch, but it's hard to reproduce exactly that sound. If you hear someone really panicking, you can hear that super shrill rhythm about how they shout. If you do this kind of thing in a lot of primate societies and you're faking it, there's not a real danger. They'll attack you. It's a primal instinct to forbid crying out in emergency when you're faking it. It's one of the things that we're just the hardest on. It's hard for us to forgive that behavior as a reciprocal society. We're just makes us mad. When you think about the resources that were spent on this woman's hoax, the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, Secret Service, local law enforcement, the money that spent, and then the family, the money they spent, all of the volunteers, people who skipped work, passed out flyers, searched and worried and stressed, and ultimately the deleterious effect that has on society's reaction to real emergency victims. Crying wolf steals resources from victims. Societies turn on a person who cons their pity out of them. Nobody likes that person. And I think a lot of people have these instincts. She's immature, she's young, she's 25. I get it. I think this captivated the nation because she tapped into the classic urban legend storyline of child being the bait that lures the innocent maiden ingenue into the woods, where she's then taken on a strange adventure but emerges somehow still pure and lovable, where everyone around her can learn a lesson about what it's like to lose her. So my prediction is that she is going to probably negotiate a plea deal. There is just no way I see this girl going to trial and changing her plea to innocent. I don't think she wants the attention that much. I said early on that I thought she was looking for the attention of one person, and I think that person is her boyfriend. I think she had the mindset that I'm going to show him what it's like to lose me, in a way that made her such an iconic victim that really scare us and put us on edge as a society. One, the idea of attacking our young. There's a toddler on the side of the road, right? She wanted maximum attention. We saw that in her search about Amber Alerts, how old you have to be to trigger an Amber Alert. So she made sure in her fantasy that there was a child young enough that she hoped would start an Amber Alert. But it backfired because there was video of her on the side of the road. There was no child. There was no man. The telemetry data showed she went the length of 6 football fields while she was on the phone with 911 saying that she was following the child and staying with the child with her flashers on. Nothing lined up. All of it was false. Carlee seems to have a great imagination when it comes to stories. But what I would want to ask her parents is whether or not they ever introduced her to the story of the child who cried wolf. Did they ever talk about these classic fables, which contain all the lessons about what goes wrong when you break the social contract? Keep suggesting cases to me. Keep the comments coming. Keep them respectful. Lay off the talk about my bird. Nobody puts Petey in the corner. He's sleeping right now, though. That's my opinion. It's late. I'm tired. Stay salty.
You probably think I'm crazy or got some loose screws, but that's alright though. I'ma do me, you do you. So how you judging me? I'm just trying to survive, and if the time comes, I ain't trying to die. I'm just trying to fly.